Leftover women want men going their own way. Banned. Leftover women want men going their own way. Banned. This is a very unfortunate situation that has arisen as more women are taking to social media to air their fury regarding MGTOW. Watch the video to fully understand the implications of the situation and how it will continue to affect men, women, and society going forward. Today's video comes from Man Guide. It will be linked. His channel will be linked in the description. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
What I'd like you to do is apologize instead of being a bitch.
You're calling me sorry, but you're calling me a bitch. So set an example.
I'm sorry. My kids can't hear me calling you a bitch.
Your window's open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to kids.
Guys, before we continue, I just want you to look at that face. My gosh, like, oh my goodness. Like, that looks like the face of Satan. That absolutely looks like the face of the devil. This is like, that's the Jezebel spirit at full work. And the Jezebel spirit inhibits both men and women. That's the Jezebel spirit. That's the face of it. That's the face of Satan right there. That is a demon-possessed woman right there. Demon-possessed.
Listening to kids.
This is for the older men. If you're not an older man, then just keep scrolling. Now that the older men are here, you guys.
I mean, what can I say? The ass was sitting. It was sitting. I do understand why he was intrigued.
Yeah, I'm single. And you want to know why I'm single? Because I want to be. I don't want a man. I don't need a man to define me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Men are frustrating. Ladies, we love them, but we gotta admit they're frustrating at times. The white one hasn't found me yet. He's probably stuck in a tree somewhere, calling in the fire department.
You know what's very interesting? I kind of want to note about this. You have to remember that no woman is better than the other woman. And the way that this woman speaks, the way that this woman looks, if this was a beautiful woman, right? Someone who was extremely beautiful, a lot of men would not care whatsoever. And they would sit around basically saying that we should take her very, very seriously because she's obviously a person of value and so forth. You have to understand that this is basically how it is with a lot of men. If this was a very beautiful woman, very slim, that she looked slim, she looked feminine, she looked friendly, all right, looks can be very deceiving. A lot of simps would basically just fall at her feet. And to make it very clear, I guarantee you right now, there are still simps that would put a ring on it. Because that's how simping works.
With an army of turtles. Yeah, that's what he's doing. I'm single because I want...
I'm hungry.
So lick that coat. You smell like
Grilled cheese.
What?
Grill me a cheese.
I'm not grilling you a cheese.
I'm pretty and smart, and I get along with everyone, even ugly girls.
Here, white people should not use black emojis. It's fucking weird. Like,
lesbians should not cheat on their partner 3 different times with men. It's fucking weird.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Talk about it.
Oh, so you're a slut. You like give it up really easy. You're a fucking slut. Yeah, double homicide. Bitch. No, I'm sorry.
What she wrote stated, God made me tall and a feminist. Tall isn't bad, but I'm guessing she's implying she wants a man at least taller than her, which means at least 6 feet or more. And then she's a feminist, which means she's a massive headache and a liability. At least she knows her options are limited.
If you date a woman 10 years younger than you, you're 40% more likely to get a divorce, and she's going to initiate. The younger partner is usually the one that initiates it. If you marry a woman who's not college educated, your likelihood of divorce also doubles. So If you guys are talking about statistics,
actually college-educated women are more likely to initiate divorce.
You have a selection bias there. So you're looking at the couples that are already getting divorced, and you're saying, oh, she's more initiated. No, you don't know stats.
No, you're just arguing to argue.
No, that's true. Can I explain?
And you've said a bunch of bullshit stats on the last show as well.
So here's how they work, guys. They choose the statistics that they like, and they basically argue that. So, for example, the gender pay gap, which has been disproved for a very long time, women have been making more money than men since the 1990s. When you take younger women and you know, all things are equal, education, experience, all of these different factors, you basically find that women in their 20s, and this goes back to the 90s, have been out earning men since at least the 90s. Although Thomas Sowell, an economist, actually pointed out in the 70s that women were already out earning men in the 70s, and it made perfect sense that was happening, because you have to think about it. In the 70s, women began rushing into institutions, and by the 90s, women had already outnumbered men in the universities. Okay, so the reality of it is that women have basically been enjoying their cake for a very long time. But now that hard times have arisen, and the thing is that with women, it never changes, because there's no such thing as they will ever feel equal. Even if we have a situation where, all the men are gone, women can still turn around and say they don't feel equal to men. And this is how petty it is. They'll say that, they were always destined to fail. Even if all men disappeared and left women with a society of abundance, and they basically destroyed it, they would turn around and say that society was always destined to fail because it was built by men for men, and women have always been fighting to simply adapt in a patriarchal world and patriarchal society. So even though men have been gone for a long time, it doesn't matter, because ultimately they were always destined to fail because men sabotaged them. The only way that we would have ever had a world where women could succeed indefinitely is that from the very beginning, women were in charge, women were leading things. It's very easy to understand how women basically think gradually, bit by bit by bit. Women will be petty over anything. Women will find anything to be petty over. Okay? The thing is, like, you just have to kind of turn your emotions off when dealing with them, because the insane things that they will say, and their ego is so big that they can never be wrong. A woman cannot apologize. A woman cannot apologize, and a woman will lie straight to your face and then talk about God in the next breath. Okay? It's insane. It's insane, but it's very true. And most women don't want you to tell them the truth. They want you to lie to them. Women love lies. They love lies. They'll tell you to lie to them. They don't want you to tell them the truth. They don't want you to be honest with them. They want you to keep them on the edge of their seat. And then, basically they want toxic men that gas them up and inflate their ego and make them think that they're getting more than they really are, or that they're better than they really deserve. And then, when they discover that these men are just straight up liars, they're like, I don't understand how this happened to me. It's like, bro, you said you wanted a liar. You said that you want a man who does these things. You said that you want these toxic men, and then you got these toxic men, and now you blame all men for for your emotional damage, your trauma, right? And yet you keep on going back to these men. Why? Because these men are off the streets, and so are you. And you enjoy the ride. You enjoy the misery and the pain and suffering these men put you through, because it gives you emotional highs, emotional lows, and that thereby generates dopamines, and dopamines gives you your steady hits. And you love your steady hits of dopamines. And that's how it really works for most women. Most women are just out here and they want their steady and regular hits of dopamine, and they will do absolutely anything and everything to get it. Men have to wake up and realize that women have been taking advantage of us for a very long time. And the fact that we don't know, a lot of us don't know everything that we should know about women, how women think and how women operate. But that knowledge is now beginning to manifest as a result of the manosphere and people like Uncle Angry. Now men are waking up and understanding how women think, how women operate. The fact that women like physical intimacy more than men do. The difference is that for men, it's a scarcity. For women, it's a surplus. A man has to actually put in work to get, to obtain physical intimacy, unless he's a Chad or a Tyrone. While a woman, on the other hand, can easily obtain it because she views everything as a surplus. She views physical intimacy from a surplus perspective because there's always a multitude of simps that are ready to line up to be intimate with her. This is how women operate, and this is how women think.
15 was like, this girl's
No,
talking out her
your
ass.
audience also looks up my fake name and thinks I'm not a lawyer. I have my bar card in my purse. I'm trying to say that your selection bias, let me explain it to you. If you're looking at couples who are already getting divorced and you're seeing who's more likely to initiate out of that crowd, that is not the same thing as looking at all married people in general, because you're only looking at the couples that are already getting divorced. College educated women are less likely to be in that group in the first place. Does that make sense to you?
Not sure where this thought feminist got her stats, but it's completely wrong. Maybe she's conflating older men marrying younger thoughts or trophy wives versus women their age who have little to no options. As in, they couldn't find a better relationship if they tried. Other than that, that's about it. When it comes to older women, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Younger women are easier to conform in a relationship and are more likely to respect the older man. Anyways, she's wrong because college-educated post-walls are the most likely to be single.
I've noticed that older women use that as a shaming tactic to men anytime they date a woman in their 20s. And the thing is this, ladies, it's biological.
Hey there, decrepit old hag over the age of 18 here. Gonna talk about how this is an absolute myth and that men are not biologically hardwired to prefer young women. When dudes say that wanting younger women is just in their DNA, what they're really saying is they want an excuse to be absolute creepers. They're also making an effort to hold on to the last vestiges of power that they have left because women are continuing to encroach on all of the spaces that they once dominated, and they are terrified to lose their unearned privilege and lose the little relevance that they have left. This myth has been perpetuated by evolutionary psychology.
So basically, guys, men preferring younger women who are fit, feminine, and friendly is something that has been perpetuated by evolutionary psychology and men themselves because of patriarchy. The reality is that men are not biologically predispositioned to prefer younger women who are fit, feminine, and friendly. The reality is that men are more than happy. She's basically more than happy to be with women who are older and may not be able to have children anymore. You know, they don't care about these things. All right. They basically, but this is when a man says that he wants a younger woman, when a man is attracted to a younger woman, that is just society. That is just their environment. So basically they're saying that men could be reprogrammed and forced to prefer, this is insane, brainwashed to prefer and prioritize relationships with older women. And if a man wants to have a relationship with a younger woman, then they are creepers. So they are basically trying to socially shame these men and destroy the lives of these men socially if they say they want to be with a younger woman. Now keep in mind that even women like this woman, who was she dating when she was a young woman? She was dating older men. How do we know that? Because young men don't have any money. Young men are brokies. When you're a young man in your early 20s, your late teens and early 20s, you're a brokey. For most of your 20s, you're going to be a brokey. Well into your 30s, a lot of men, brokies. For so many guys, they don't see money or wealth until they are at least into their 40s, sometimes 50s, many times 60s. Okay? And that's if they're lucky. That's if they're lucky. So women are basically getting into relationships when they're young with men who are older and they have money. And now when they get older, they get pissed off that these same men are now don't want to date them anymore and now want to continue dating younger women. So they turn around and say that these men are creepers. So, you know, when a guy was 40 years old and he was dating a 20-year-old, that's okay. He was dating them when they were 20, that's okay. But now that they're 30 and he still wants to date 20-year-olds, he's 50, he still wants to date 20-year-olds, she's pissed off because he doesn't want to date her at 30 anymore. And now he's a creeper. But it was okay when she dated him, but, you know, at 20, but it's not okay for another woman to date him. Like, you know, who's a 20-year-old. In other words, she had her shot. She could have settled down with a good guy. She didn't want to settle down with a good guy. She stayed out there in the streets, and now her options have diminished. Her choices have diminished. Sometimes these women, they stay out there in the streets until they're 40 years old. Women have been playing us hard for, guys, the biggest dream for a lot of men right now is just to walk away. Walk away. They go overseas, find a girl overseas, and they don't get married, but, you know, and that's it. Or, you know, if they do get married, it's going to be their woman overseas. But marriage is not something that any man should begin engaging in now. Or a lot of dudes are like, they just want to go MGTOW and avoid relationships in society entirely. Only, that's really the direction that we've increasingly been going in.
Is a widely criticized field because they don't do a good job of distinguishing between environmental and cultural explanations for things and adaptive evolutionary explanations for things. And they don't stand up to the rigorous standards of traditional evolutionary biology when it comes to providing causal evidence. There was this dude, David Buss, who in the late 80s did this study where he looked at men and women across 37 countries and observed that men typically go for younger women, women typically go for older men. And he hypothesized that it was because men were seeking women of peak fertility. But what's interesting is he didn't apply this same mode of thought for women because men also lose fertility as they age. Every year after the age of 20, they're becoming less fertile, and a 40-year-old dude will take at least 2 years to get a peak fertile woman pregnant.
Do you hear the load of nonsense? In other words, she's trying to argue, and I've been seeing a lot of empowered women making the argument that men in their 40s reproductive genetic material is no longer valuable, it's bad, but women are just fine because they know lots of women who've had children well into their 40s or even at 50 years old. This is, guys, all of these women are sabotaging other women. This woman, she is sabotaging other women. She is sabotaging young women. She is sabotaging women her age, all right, into believing this nonsense. These, because, guys, look, I mean, what's the standard? Look at how modern women look today in Western society. They're all tatted up. They're all demanding, they're all in China, they're demanding dowries, okay? It's very similar in the US where where you basically have to send them a cash app before they'll even go out with you. All right. There's no such thing as going and getting drinks anymore. No, you have to take them out to an expensive meal. And the less they like you, the more money you need to spend on them. You're basically financing foodies. Like, this is such a stupid thing. Basically, you're paying them for their time. You're basically paying to escort them. Like, think about this. You are paying to escort them. That's how messed up our system is right now. And the very moment that you try to walk away from it, they come at you and they want to attack you, shame you, use sign language, shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, nagging, because they need to be right. What happens, guys? What happens in a reality where women lose the power that they have, the privileges that they have right now? Many think that it'll never happen. But what would happen if there was ever a role reversal where men were put back on top and women were, and that ended up playing out? Imagine if men started treating women the way that women treat men. Imagine if society, imagine if the state began treating women the way that men have been treated. It would be absolutely horrific because no one cares about men. But if we saw women being treated the way that men are being treated, everyone would say that it's absolutely horrific. Imagine going out and seeing all these homeless women paved all over the streets. Imagine society treating women terribly, treating little girls poorly, saying the most horrible things, saying that they're going to be arrested if they're even suspected of feminism. Guys, could you imagine a reality? Imagine a reality where they start saying that, if they say, and I'm not saying that we should ever do this, but could you imagine if the script were ever flipped and someone said, oh, we're going to start, teachers are required to report their students, just like they're doing in the UK to boys now, if they're even suspected of being susceptible to the manosphere or the influences of extreme misogyny. Imagine if it were ever flipped and teachers were now required to report their students if they were even suspected of being susceptible to extreme feminism, or extreme misandry. Guess what? You know what's terrible? You know what's messed up? It would be horrific. And imagine they said that the Department of Terrorism is going to get them. It'll be now considered a form of extreme terrorism because that's what's happening to men and boys in the UK. But if you imagine if you did that to girls, if you did that to women, it'd be horrific. Very few people would say that, here's the thing about this, though. Here's this thing. the first wave of feminists, the suffragettes, they actually were considered terrorists. They actually were considered terrorists. They were considered extremists, and and they were jailed. I saw the pictures years ago. I don't remember if it was in school or what, but yeah, I saw the pictures years ago of these women, the first generation of the suffragettes, and they actually jailed them and tossed them. Susan B. Anthony and her brigade, they tossed their asses in jail, prison, and the state that they were like filthy. They were locked up in prison. They were filthy, and they were still misbehaving and still complaining and still doing all of the crap. And eventually, the men just gave up and gave them the right to vote because they said that they couldn't stand watching these women suffer anymore. Yeah, basically, they were guys. Think about this. And through all this, they were determined that they were going to get their way. That is how stubborn you have to understand the average woman is. The average woman will suffer. She will go to a point of suffering just to say that she is right and that she's going to get what she wants, even if it's something that could control, alt, delete the individual. They're going to stay on that hill just out of arrogance and ego. And they will never admit that they're wrong. And eventually the Sims will come along and say, we can't do this. We have to stop. We have to. Why the hell are you going to cave? They're just throwing a tantrum and basically pushing us. Like, if you don't give us what we want, then we're just going to keep on doing it. And there's nothing that you can do about it. No, we're just not going to give in. Imagine if men, guys, this is not how we treat terrorists. When, when men do this stuff, they don't treat terrorists very nice in prison, male terrorists. And yet, this is how, when women do it, oh, we're going to give you the red carpet. We're going to give you the red carpet. You poor thing. This is Dr. Umar. He's going to work with you. Oh my gosh. Because it's not your fault. It's patriarchy, girl. It's patriarchy. Yeah.
That work in this field are often criticized for conflating what actually is with what they think ought to be. They observe a pattern and then they make it fit a narrative that they already believe. And this is why you'll often see evolutionary psychologists advocating against social change, and why Dr. Buss is often seen with Jordan Peterson chatting on the internet. The really interesting thing about those 37 countries that Buss studied is that if you look at them over time, you track mating strategies and the ages at which people are attracted to one another, and you compare that to the country's UN Gender Equality Index score. As gender equality rises, the age gap shrinks. That idea that men are naturally hardwired to go for younger women starts to disappear almost as quickly as Myron's hairline. So when those traditional gender roles are stripped away, people are getting together closer in age because they have more in common, right? They're at similar life stages, and there are...
Yeah, guys, so that was a direct jab at Fresh and Fit. So Fit, Fresh is Fresh Prince CEO. So, Walter, the one that, earlier this year, we all thought that he got a 304 pregnant, and then it turns out that she was really just trying to extort him for cash. And then she's like, oh, the baby just disappeared. Yeah, and then, but Myron, she's basically, so she watches Fresh and Fit. They're pissed off with the manosphere. They're pissed off with men going their own way. They're pissed off with MWA, men walking away, because men walking away are just men with alternatives, and she really hates these men. She hates us, because with MWA are men with alternatives. They're men with options. They are not women. They're not men who don't like women. They are men who actually, they're looking out for themselves. They're walking away from toxic environments and toxic people. Anything that's not working for them, they walk away from. For example, we had an MWA who talked about how he walked away from his daughters. He was married to this woman, and it wasn't so much the wife. I'm sure that she played a role in it, but it wasn't so much the wife that was the issue. Was his two Gen Z daughters. So he divorced his wife and walked away from them. And he still sees his daughter, but they were daughters, but they were gonna drive him crazy. So he had to get out of that relationship. And people were furious about that. How dare a man abandon his family? How dare a man walk away from his daughters? Yeah, that's just how it works. Okay, it's about prioritizing one's own survival, one's own well-being. That's MWA right there. It's about self-preservation. Okay, it's about the individual man. They say that fathers have the worst hearts, but that single unmarried men live the longest now. I mean, I wonder why that is. It's quite simple. Fatherhood is not in today's era, in today's society, it is not good for men. Men work far harder than they ever would have if they had stayed single and childless. Let me tell you something. I have never heard of a single man, and I'm sure they're out there, but I've yet to encounter a single man that ever said they regret having a vasectomy. I can't find them. I've thought about having a vasectomy many times. I still think about having a vasectomy. And it's like, oh, you're gonna regret it, you're gonna regret it. And it's so messed up because I keep thinking like maybe something's wrong with me. Because like every guy that I know that had the vasectomy, they're happy. I've met men in real life who had the vasectomy, and I don't understand this phenomenon. I'm not making it up. There's supposed to be a percentage of men that regret having vasectomies. It's supposed to be statistical. Statistically, there are supposed to be men who regret having vasectomies, but I have not been able to find men in real life or on the internet who regret having a vasectomy. You would even expect Sims to come out and say that they regret having the vasectomy, but I can't find these people. All right, I cannot find a single man that has had a vasectomy that comes back and says, I regret what I did. I should never have had it. They're all happy as G. They're all happy as gold. Like they're feeling good. They're chilling. Guys, children, having families is not, for most men, it's just not it. It's just not it. They cost way too much money. It's just not worth it. And a lot of these guys, I love my kids. Good, bro. You love your kids and you've got like heart disease. All right. You got like heart disease and no money in the bank. Like, I'm just putting it out there. Guys, like for me, my thing is just basically getting back up. Like it took me years just to figure out what was wrong with me, get treated for my health, for my issue. I was sick for 4 years almost, like bedridden for 4 years. I mean, like I'm talking about, I may have some brain damage from all of it. Like I was really, really ill, horrible, and it was basically what my condition. I don't want to talk too much about it. It was something I had never even heard of. Like like you have these like strange illnesses, like every so yeah, and it just guys. A lot of women are not very healthy. By the way, a lot of modern women are so unhealthy right now. Like their health is terrible. Absolutely terrible, and they think that they're going to in their like 40s now, when they're now getting things like BREAST CANCER. They deserve a good man to come and hold their hand and take care of them. Guys, hell on earth is going to catch up to a lot of these women for what they've done, for the evils that they've done around them, the evils that they've done in society, the evils that they've done in the world. Hell on earth is going to catch up to them, and they are going to have to deal with the consequences for the decisions that they've made. Okay. And women like this who are constantly attacking men and shaming men when men have other options, they think that they're going to control us and force us to be in relationships with people that we don't want to be in relationships with. Good luck to that. Most men would choose prison over being in a relationship with someone who they don't, like this. Okay. They're not going to sign the contract. They'll go to prison. Most men will go to, and guys, the worse that they make life for men, eventually the faster society degrades. All right? Because the thing about the wealthy is that for the wealthy to be wealthy and to enjoy their lives, you have to have the worker ants at the bottom. You have to have a foundation. So if the floor falls out, if the people who are holding up the bottom fall out, then the wealthy are screwed. The wealthy are absolutely screwed. The politicians are absolutely screwed. Without men constantly holding up society, being first responders, working on infrastructure. I'm being serious. Being enforcers. Without enforcers, without men working to enforce the laws and the policies of the state has no power. The state is completely powerless, guys. Think about this carefully. If the state does not have enforcers, police officers, people who work for these federal law enforcement agencies, these are enforcers. They are not there to look out. They're not there to do the will of the people. They're there to do the will of the state. The will of the state has nothing to do with the will of the people. But all right. So, but without these people, without people that actually go into these fields, if men keep on walking away, and they say that, they view, for example, they view, people who work in law enforcement as tyrants. If the view of law enforcement becomes too, we saw what happened in 2020, and a lot of police officers quit. And if public sentiment becomes too negative, and people view these people as, as violent, as dangerous, as they're not going to want them in their neighborhoods, or they can come around, but people are going to avoid them, and eventually doors are slammed, and you're ostracized. Like, people, you walk around in your badge, and people look at you with fear. You walk into a store, people look at you with fear. Okay, this is how it happens. And eventually, and how do you sleep at night? Not everyone. A lot of these people who go into the law enforcement are narcissists, but not everyone can not everyone can have a good night's sleep just like that. It starts to eat away with you. It starts to mess with you psychologically, some of them. All right? And they can do as much bad as they want to. But eventually, for some of them, even in their neighborhoods, their family members don't want to be around them. Their friends are avoiding them, and they begin to feel isolated. And they're like, oh, it's the brotherhood, man. It's the brotherhood. What happens when you're no longer in that field, though? What do you have left? What happens when you have to put that on your resume? Like, that's another thing. For example, you try to go into another job field, and you have to put it on your resume that you were working in law enforcement for a federal agency, or for, like, for the state, you're a law enforcement officer, or you're a federal officer, or whatever. And you can't hide it. You can't, 99% of the time, you can't hide it. Only in cases where you, like, you worked for, say, for example, you may have worked for, like, the CIA. Like, they have some strange ways of hiding things. Like, it's a little bit different. But if you work for, like, the FBI, but it's going to be in your taxes most of the time. All right, you want to find out what jobs people have done. That's basically look it up. And, for example, if an employer is reviewing your tax history, like, and they're like, okay, like, to figure out where you've worked, and they look at something and they're like, okay, well, they try to, like, do a background check, and nothing is coming back. Like, they're like, what the hell is this company? Like, this doesn't make any sense, and they're not going to hire you. They're going to think that they're immediately going to say, okay, so you're one of these people. We don't need you. And we're not going to hire you. Just won't hire you. So they're putting themselves in this type of situation where, you have a background in law enforcement, and the sentiment around people in law enforcement is so negative that once you're no longer in law enforcement, you can't find another job. No one wants to work with you because you're viewed as violent. You're viewed as a brute. You're viewed as a danger to people. They think that you're preying upon them. They're preying upon society. Without enforcers to do the will of the state is powerless. The state cannot do anything without enforcers, without these people. So that just shows. And who are these people? Typically men. Do some women work as enforcers? Absolutely. But the vast majority of enforcers are men. Women don't understand that without men, there's nothing. And men are the protectors of women. Men are the guardians that protect women and society from tyranny. But most women today operate as agents of the state. So if men are their protectors, so they basically traded in men for the state. And now that they're getting all of this great stuff, and they're like, oh, life is so wonderful, but the state is no longer able to subsidize them, what ends up happening? The state begins condemning men, shaming men, and trying to punish men for walking away. Women are agents of the state, so they do this. They also punish. They also shame. They also begin reporting men. What does that do? It only leads to more men pulling back and avoiding relationships and the state as much as they possibly can. And you have to remember that most women, it's not that women cannot use logic. Women can absolutely use logic, but that's only when they choose to. They can choose, and their sense of logic is based around feelings. So, for example, they process feelings in the place of facts, and they choose facts based on feelings. Okay? They will distort facts based on feelings. This is how they are wired.
influencing what makes a good partnership. So when shitty dudes are talking about youth being the #1 thing they look for in a woman, what they're doing is try to devalue women's accomplishments because we're working on outpacing them in every category and they are scared.
We are working on outpacing them on every category. So women believe that a man wants a woman that is competing with her. Women believe that a man values a woman based around her accomplishments. So a man actually cares if a woman is a doctor or a lawyer or any of these things when they are looking for a relationship. They believe that a man psychologically is there to serve them. Men are born to serve. Men are born to sacrifice. So it's a complete lie that a man would want anything from a woman other than, other than being her subordinate and her slave. Oh, it's not calling it. No, it's not her slave. It's what they were designed to do. They are men. And if they see that a woman is a high value woman based on her accomplishments, then obviously they would want to be in a relationship with her. They're not only creeps look at a woman based on attractiveness, or only creeps look at a woman based on biology. Okay, men who are the real men look at women based on what they have done. A woman who is 60 years old and has reached the top of her industry and is now a CEO and has a medical degree and a law degree and a PhD, that makes her more attractive than a 20-year-old woman. This is crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. And yet, these same women, if you said, all right, so you're telling me that if you're a woman who is, let's say, in a similar position as a man, and you're telling me that you would choose a man who is 60 years old, you choose a man who is 60 years old, has a pot belly, is balding, and has moles all over his face, over a Chad, right? Over a handsome Chad. You're telling me that you would find the 60-year-old man more attractive. And they would go, well, you're a man. So a lot of them will just say, you're a man, okay? You're a man. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. Basically, a man is what women say they are. To be a man, you have to live up to the standards of others. While to be a woman, you simply have to identify as one. This is the reason why women tear men down. They'll tell you that you're not even a man. I have been told that before in my life. You're not even a man. Hell, even my own mother, when she was tearing me down, told me, you're not even a man. Okay? This is the type of garbage that men have to live with and have always had to live with. Because women don't know what men experience. They don't give a shit. They're the ones who create a lot of the disparities or work with the state to create a lot of disparities because they are rewarded for reallocating wealth and resources from men back to the state through the divorce court, through the criminal court system, through civil court, through the family court. It doesn't matter how they do it, but as long as they do it, they are rewarded for doing this. And then men are left demoralized. Men are left dehumanized. Men are, it creates extraordinary disparities. Women don't care as long as they get what they get what they want.
They're going to tell you your career doesn't matter, your education doesn't matter, your ambition doesn't matter, your wealth doesn't matter. And what's more important,
her money is her money. So guys, think about this. His money is her money, and her money is her money. You have tons of videos that literally show women saying that that she's not bringing any of her money into the relationship and he's going to have to pay for everything. If you said to this woman, okay, like if this woman was making $1 million a year and you said to her, okay, so will you marry a guy making $50,000 a year? You want to be in a relationship with a guy making $50K a year? She's going to say no. She wants to be with a man who makes more money than her and makes at least as much money as her. If you say, okay, well, you're in a relationship with a man who makes, more money than you do, but you're going to have to pay the bill. You're going to have to help pay bills in the relationship. So are you going to contribute your money to the relationship? She's going to say no. But wait a minute. If you're not contributing your money to the relationship, but yet you want a man to be attracted to you because of your money, then how does that value him? Because if you're not helping in a relationship, if you're not paying bills, if you're not supporting him, if you're not a sugar mama, or you're not at least splitting things in half, then what value does the money that you bring to the relationship have to do with him? It doesn't make his life better in any way whatsoever. He's going to have to subsidize your living, and then you can do whatever you want with your money, but you're saying that he simply needs to respect you and view you as high value and more attractive because you have all of these things that that he doesn't even value or want. Okay? This is like, oh, it's men. No, men are not attracted to younger women. It's not biological. It's society. It's patriarchal. Okay, not men. Men in reality, are attracted to women who have college degrees and have their own money and are empowered. Basically, men are attracted. They're trying to say men are attracted to whatever women say they're allowed to be attracted to. It's the nuisance, guys. The gaslighting, the narcissism. It is so paramount.
Young and submissive. And what better way for them to try and sell this but by telling you that it's just a matter of biology and it can't be changed. They want to scare women and make them think that if they're over the age of 25, like all male attention will simply vanish. Unfortunately for them, the majority of women are waking up to the fact that life is a lot better without problematic men. And so many women are realizing that y'all simply aren't worth the trouble. And the data supports this. Single, childless women are the happiest in society. They are happier being without men that treat them like dogs or are looking for replacement mommies. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the fact that many of these men also suffer from crippling self-esteem issues.
So, guys, listen, keep in mind, come 2030, 45% of all women in just the United States will be childless and single. 45% of all women within the ages of 25 and 44. That's not counting women that have children. When you factor in those women, single mothers, now you're talking about 70 to 90% of women in the United States that are going to be single, have no man. All right? We are becoming a, what's his name? Like JT Vance, or the guy that's Trump's running mate. He said it perfectly. We are becoming a nation of cat ladies. We are becoming a nation where cat ladies are influencing public policy. And now listen to what this woman says. She's saying that, research shows that single women are happier because when they're not with men, they don't have to put up with men who are, children. They want mommies. These are emotionally broken. These are men that are broken and blah, blah, blah. Research shows that single women are happier. Women who are not in relationships with men are happier. Guys, they are destroying the lives of young women so bad. They are gaslighting these young girls. They're filling their heads with tons and tons of nonsense, and they're setting them up. And guys, and right now, what do you have? You literally have women who are blaming one another for feminism, blaming each other for feminism, because men are walking away from society. And what happens when the hen flies? What happens when the rooster flies away? All right, on a farm, you have a coop. And what happens when the rooster flies away? He flies on top of the barn and he leaves the hens behind. They start to henpeck one another, because when men are not around, basically when men are not around and there's no structure, okay, women basically start to go after one another. They begin to blame one another. They begin to shame one another. It becomes vitriolic. They did an experiment where they took a group of men, they took a group of women, they put them on different islands and told them to survive. Each had a doctor, and the women basically began drinking rainwater. They got very sick. They developed diarrhea. They had no shelters. They had no food. They ate all of the food. They basically spent all their time on the beach. Is it like taking selfies, using the cameras that they had to record themselves in their bikinis, just chilling and relaxing? And while the men, on the other hand, immediately got to work. They built shelter for themselves. They had a laundry system in place. They were all wearing clean clothes. While the women, on the other hand, one woman was washing the knickers of other women because they were all filthy. Yeah, their underwear was filthy because, again, they all had diarrhea. And then they sent a man. Eventually, they sent one man from the men's island over to the female women, and they sent one woman from the women's island over to the men. And the woman who went over to the men, she was like, they were like, okay, we'll give you a job to do. And you know what job they gave her? All she had to do was basically like pick, clear their faces of hair. Like, here's a tweezer. They gave her like the easiest job in the world, and she was well fed. She had clean clothes. Everything was one. She had shelter. Life was wonderful for her. It was like paradise. She had all of these wonderful, lovely, clean men to herself. While the men who went over to the women's island, they immediately said they're going to put the man to work, and they turned him into a slave. And he was like, "Where are your houses? Where are you sleeping? We have no homes. Where's your food? We ate it all." And they immediately said that we're going to put him to work. And their entire goal was to manipulate him and take advantage of him. This is how they operated. This is how, guys, this is the reason why I said that, but stop blaming feminism. Feminism didn't do anything. Feminism is just an ideology of equality between men and women. It was women themselves who chose to go down this path. It was women themselves that had these toxic, that had these ideas and that treated men this way. You have to hold the individual accountable. Don't hold the ideology accountable. Hold the individual accountable. When you try to hold an ideology accountable, what do the people who did these things do? They turn around and then blame the ideology and say that they were victims of it. Okay, imagine women saying that they were victims of feminism. All right, they weren't victims of feminism. Feminism didn't take advantage of women. Women took full advantage of feminism. Okay, they used it and they used it and they twisted it and they distorted it for their own personal means and self gains. They told us what it was and then they kept on misconstruing it. So who did if there was any damage done to feminism, it wasn't feminism that did damage to the ideology. It was women themselves who turned the ideology into whatever it became. So they are not victims of the ideology. They are the ones who put the ideology into place. They're the ones who were this, who had these ideas and used it to get what they wanted. Okay, they never wanted they never wanted equality. They wanted a society, which is what we have now, where women have special privileges and men get special punishments.
The only way that they can feel more like a man and more like they have something of value is if they are controlling, manipulating, and abusing someone else. And often that's women.
Yes, men are biologically hardwired to like younger women because it's called them being in their prime when they're in the best shape of their life, which most men find the most attractive. Coincidentally, they're also the most fertile in their prime and have the most eggs. That is when the kids have the highest chance of being born healthy without any problems, while post-wals over 30, especially over 35, when having kids, are considered to have a geriatric pregnancy, which means the kids have a higher risk of having health problems. As for the so-called peak fertility for men, that's a myth. Maybe it declines in their 60s, but you see men in their 60s having kids. This is a fact throughout history, especially when it comes to kings. You rarely hear women having kids past the age of 40, and it's only because of modern technology, that they can perform C-sections and so on. The only reason why men would lose fertility is because of all the toxins in the food, products, and environment, as over time that accumulates in the body like the balls, which reduces sperm count, but that's not a natural thing. Another post-wall comment, absolutely. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. These types of guys are scared of accomplished, strong, confident women. This is massive cope. They're not scared, but repulsed by used-up post-walls. There's a big difference.
Alright. This whole dating thing, I am 53. Just because I'm 53 doesn't mean that I'm old and put on a shelf. I can run with the best of the 30-year-olds still. It's just a number, people. I don't feel like I'm 53 because I'm still young. I don't have kids. Never been married.
53, guys. That's a hard 53. Most women today look pretty decent at 53. So they're out in the streets. They're choosing to be on the streets. They're running around with Chad and Tyrone. A lot of these individuals have used substances over the course of their life. So they're much more aged. And now that they're at these advanced ages, they're at 53 is not very old. But unfortunately, because of living such a hard life, now they look more like 60. And guys, and let me just make it very clear, a lot of them lie.
All these.
Like, guys, she does not look 53. She looks a good 65. She really, really does look a good 65. But you cannot believe anything that they say because they're going to basically tell you any hooey, any haha, just to get what they want. All right. And they're still saying that they deserve a high value man, a man that is going to make 6 figures and a man make above 6 figures and has a 6-pack and, and is at least 6 feet tall. You have so many women today that are now walking around and saying that men who are 6'3" and 6'4" are short. All right. And when men basically called him out and say, like, the kind of guy that you're describing that you say you want doesn't exist, they basically laugh. The reason why is because they don't tell guys, women don't tell you the truth, that they break all the rules for Chad and Tyrone. They're like, oh, I want this man and this man and this man. No, no, no. You see, guys, the men that they're describing are Plan B guys. This is the reason why they can live in that delusion, because the guys that they are describing, the guys that women say that they want, they don't have to exist, because they are Plan B guys. So eventually they just settle for some Plan B guy. It's not like it's not like she ever wanted this man in the first place. If you're looking for this guy that is so perfect for you to love him, that's not love. All right? That's not love. That's Build-A-Bear Workshop. You don't love this person. That's a toy for you. I love my toys. No, you're a narcissist. That's just a toy. You're trying to look for the perfect human being. And that's not even a perfect human being. For you, in terms of perfection, the person that you actually love, the person that you actually desire is Little Poncho. Little Poncho with his fat little belly, drinking tequila. Sometimes he has a cigar. He enjoys his Corona. This is the guy that they love. This little man right here. They don't want you. The guys that they're describing, like, that has to have all of these traits and everything else, those are Plan B guys. Those are the guys that they cheat on. The guy that is 6 feet tall, the guy that makes at least above 6 figures, the guy that has a 6-pack. That's the guy that gets cheated on. Okay, that's the guy that they end up divorcing. They can like how much money he makes. They can like the things that he has, things that he can do for them. They can even like certain things about him, but they will never actually love him. She will never love you. You cannot buy love by telling a woman that you have all of these things and you can do all of these things for her. That's not love. That's not love, guys. That's at best. She likes the things that you can do for her. That's never been love. And most men will not listen to Uncle Angry. A lot of men won't listen to Uncle Angry when he tells you it was never love. The moment that some men call it out and say, listen, she only wants you for your money, the woman comes back and says, that's not true. How can you say such a thing? Okay? Of course, there's like a movie with Marilyn Monroe. She's like, how can you say that I don't love him? Now, if he has money, now doesn't that just only enhance it? Doesn't that only enhance the love? And it's like, bro, you're a gold digger. All right? Let's say you take the money away and he no longer has the money. Do you still love him? Well, I did love him and I still love him, but we just can't be together anymore. Okay? Because you have to be adults, and women will agree with her. Well, yes, you have to be adults, and we need to live in the world. We need money. Well, we take the money away, but he's not flat broke. He makes enough to keep a roof over your head, provide for a family, but you're not going to be living a life of luxury anymore. Okay? You're going to have to live like a normal housewife of that era. Yeah, the love is gone. Because as soon as the money is gone, so is the woman. As soon as the money is gone, so is she. That's how women operate, and that's how women think.
I don't do dating sites, okay? I just don't do it. Did it years ago, a long time ago. I don't do it. I don't have kids because of other things. I never been married because it's never happened. My career has always been there. People don't give people a chance anymore. It's like, I own my own place, I own my own car, I pay my own bills. It's like, is there any real people out there anymore? I mean, I get sent so much bullshit, and I'm like, it's like within 2 seconds you can tell somebody's BSing you. I've been around the block a little bit. I'm not gonna be somebody's sugar's mama, so don't think it's gonna happen, because it's not. I still believe in somebody opening my door for me, somebody being the man, but yet I'm still an independent woman. Did
you hear what the garbage she just said? I have my own money, I'm independent, but I'm not going to be someone's sugar mama. I still believe in a man opening the door for me. I still believe in a man taking care of me. So, in other words, I'm not a traditional woman, but I want a traditional man, because I know my worth. 53. And she looks much older than 53. She looks about 65. and she probably is lying about her age. That's the reality of it, guys. And they think that we're all so stupid that we can't figure it out anymore. And like I said, what happens if there's a role reversal? Because nothing lasts forever. Women think that things like this will last forever, that if they're firmly in control, the world is over for men. When men have lost all of their rights, the tyranny has won. But what happens if there's a role reversal? What if the fortunes of men suddenly change? A lot of you think that it'll never happen as well. Guys, nothing lasts forever. Think about it very carefully. Who are the ones who have the real power? Who are the ones who built this world, who keep this world going, okay? Think about the logistics of it. Women are now saying that get a man who worships you, get a man who will sacrifice himself for you, get a man who will kneel before you, get a man who will kiss your feet. All right, who will kneel before you, who will bow before you, who will kiss your feet, who will worship you. All right, get a man who sees you as a goddess. Okay, they want to replace themselves. They want to replace God in your life. They want you to worship them the way you would worship God. They want you to sacrifice for them. They want you to give offerings to them. Guys, what did we call it? The golden V. I've said it before that, all right, that the golden V is going to see it's not going to be pretty. We know what happened to the golden calf. We know how God deals with false idols. These women don't believe that God exists, or if they do, they believe that God is on their side and Jesus is in it with them. And Jesus doesn't like these broke boys either. And he's going to give them exactly what they want because they deserve it. Guys, it's sick. It's sick. It's sick. It's sick.
It's like, is there any real people out there anymore? It's like, geez, come on.
Never underestimate a leftover woman's ability to overestimate her worth. She looks like she's in her 60s at least, like a grandpa wearing his wig. She may claim age is just not a number, but she may feel as young as she wants. That doesn't matter. It's what men think. And they're not touching her with a 6-foot pole. Her teeth are even jacked up. That's the one thing she can control, and she can't even do that. This is what happens when most women hit menopause. If 30 is hitting the wall, along with 40 is hitting another wall. 50 is getting ran over by a semi-truck or falling off the cliff. She doesn't have kids because no man of value wanted to have kids with her at her prime. Give it up, Grandma, and retire at a nursing home already.
Ladies, it's about that time to stop being insecure and start being a fucking problem. Especially if you're a moderately attractive woman and you're in your 20s, cut the shit. I know that your brain is telling you that you're fat and you're ugly and he doesn't want you and you're internalizing everyone's body language and you're hyper fixated on how you might be perceived by other people and what your outfit looks like to X, Y, and Z or what the fuck ever. I'm telling you, as a woman who is now 33 years old, the level of cringe I have for how I treated myself in my fucking head when I was literally so fucking hot in my 20s in New York, thinking that I was fat, messing around with fuckboys, it's tragic. And now that I know the true power a woman holds in this world, it is my mission to spread that good word and dispel this true pandemic of low self-esteem that has plagued women. It's just complete bullshit. Seriously, if you fall into this category, I don't care what fucking approach you need to take, if it's hypnosis, if it's affirmations, if it's talking to yourself in the fucking mirror until you believe it every single day and every single night, but nip that shit in the butt.
Guys, there's a passage in the Bible where it says, I believe, that Satan will take them up to the biggest mountain and tell them that the entire world is theirs. And that's basically what's happened here. They've listened to Satan. God will give you all if you simply bow before him and know that he is king. These women have basically traded they've traded everything to Satan. They've basically said that they've basically accepted the Jezebel. All right. And now Satan has basically said, I will give you the world. I can give you the world, the evil one. And they basically have accepted it. So they think that they're powerful. They are all powerful. They are the gods of this world. All right. Because of tyranny, because of the state. They don't comprehend, because of Sims. All right. Men are basically oppressed in society right now. Okay. Men are oppressed, and it's been like that for a long time, going back to even the 70s. There was a book that talked about it. I forget the name of the book. All right, it was just written by, I think, Esther something or the other one, like the manipulated male or something like that. And this is where women have come. They think that they're going to completely decimate us, and that we're going to be left as shells of ourselves, and they will rule over us for the rest of eternity. Oh God, guys, women don't understand how very quickly things can change just like that. Right now, the economy is a joke. Women are the ones living in with extraordinary hardship in terms of finances. The average woman just does not have it. All right. And they basically are living, they're basically programming other women, telling other women that they're good and they're going to be able to do this and all this other stuff, while many women are crying themselves to sleep. A lot of these women have high amounts of student loan debt. They have no savings, and they're living entirely off the SIP economy, and they think they're going to live like this forever. When these women are homeless, when they're living on the streets, because that's where a lot of it's heading, when they're living in extraordinary poverty, and they want someone to come and rescue them, it's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. They think it's going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen. They're going to find themselves having to deal with this, and no one is going to come to their rescue, and they're going to demand the men that come to their rescue, and it's not going to happen for them. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, don't forget to go ahead and check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. It's a space for us to talk about. It's a space for you guys to keep in touch with me. It's a place where you can go and find new articles, extended videos, guides, things like everything ranging from things like wealth building, how to build a thriving business empire while having fun doing it, unlock your path to passive income with our complete affiliate marketing guide for beginners. We have all kinds of great articles on here too. Everything from the blueprint for escaping the rat race to, the art of the fib, when lying is actually a good thing, or why Thanos' blunder, why a population cap would have saved the universe. We have, or the silent rage of Gen X for forging the fires of reality. We also have things like millions of boomers are ending up homeless, or one of my absolute favorites, the boomer apocalypse, how one generation sold us out. There's a little something for everyone on there. There's a little something for everyone on there. It's linked in the description of the video, so you can go check it out, subscribe to it, and enjoy. I mean, guys, I want to know your thoughts on this. Leftover women want men going their own way banned. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and men walking away. And cheers.